good evening to everybody. Welcome to University of Silicon-Andhra webinar, this time presented to you by our Department of Sanskrit faculty. It's an amazing topic, and I want to recognize the presence of the chairperson of the department, Dr. Vasantalakshmi Garu, and the faculty members Vani Bhandaram Garu, Dr. Varalakshmi Garu, Dr. Ramakrishna Sastri Garu from the Sanskrit department, and also from other departments at the University of Silicon. We have Dr. Saroja Garu here, and Dr. Yashoda Garu just joined. And we have Dr. Amy Catalin, who is one of our board of trustees. Thank you, Dr. Amy, for joining us. Welcome. And board of trustees chairman, Dr. Pappu Venugopal Rao Garu is also here. So thank you, sir. Pranams to you, and good morning to all the faculty who joined us from India, and good evening to everybody here. University of Silicon-Andhra is a non-profit 501c3 academic institution established 5 years ago. And our focus is Indian fine arts and languages. We have 5 departments at this present times, and we are offering all the classes online. It's not because of COVID or anything, but our mode of instruction is all online. Okay. Eventually, we will get to in person also, but for now, we are offering certificate, diploma, and master's programs in these departments: Carnatic music and Kuchipudi dance, and Sanskrit, Telugu, and Bharata. Very soon we will start masters also there. The application is pending with VASC, and as soon as we get the approvals, we will start masters, and eventually we will even have the research programs, PhD programs, doctoral programs here in all these departments. And we are also working on starting new departments, to name a few: Hindustani music, Hindi, Punjabi, and several more to come. More details, please visit our website, universityofsiliconandhra.org. And if you have any questions, you could write to us at admissions@universityofsiliconandhra.org. So without any further delay, I would like to request Dr. Vasantalakshmi Garu to take us through this topic and for the next 90 minutes. Thank you, Dr. Vasantalakshmi Garu. Welcome again. So enjoy.
Namasabhai. केयूराणि न भूषयन्ति पुरुषं हारा न चन्द्रोज्ज्वलाः न स्नानं न विलेपनं न कुसुमं नालङ्कृता मूर्धजाः वाण्येका समलङ्करोति पुरुषं या संस्कृता धार्यते क्षीयन्ते खलु भूषणानि सततं वाग्भूषणं भूषणम्. I'm representing Sanskrita Vak, the speech which was Sanskrita, divided as Prakriti and Pratyaya by our sages and ancient scholars. In the vast literature of Sanskrit, there is Katha Sahitya. Katha Sahitya that is meant for teaching dharma and adharma, the difference between dharma and adharma, what is right and what is wrong, to the young disciples, to the kids, from the level of their elementary studies. And Panchatantra has to be quoted as the first one among such texts. Panchatantra is the Sanskrit book which was translated into almost all languages around the globe. And it is still being translated into various other languages. And in many languages, it was being repeated several times also by several different authors. Now today we have taken Panchatantra as the topic of our webinar. And let me first introduce Panchatantra to you. Why it was written by Vishnu Sharma, and what necessitated the writing of composition of Panchatantra. In the south, there was a city called Mahilaropya, and Amarashakti was the king of it. He had three sons who were very naughty. Not that they were not intelligent. They were intelligent, but they were naughty. They were not at all inclined to study Shastras. And they drove away several teachers of theirs. Then the king was very much upset about their upset with their behavior, and he wanted them to learn Shastras thoroughly because they had to succeed him. They had to occupy the throne after him, and unless they knew the Arthashastra and Dharmashastra thoroughly, they won't prove to be good kings. So he consulted his ministers and asked them what to do with his sons. Then one of the ministers said, it would take 12 years to master Vyakarana, and unless Vyakarana is studied, other Shastras cannot be known, cannot be mastered at all. So it would take years. And what was the way to make all these boys sit and study these Shastras for so many years? Then another minister called Sumati said, the life of human beings is very short, and these Shastras take a long time. So a wise man would take the essence of all these Shastras rather than sitting and studying them years together. Then he himself suggested to the king that there was a scholar called Vishnu Sharma, who was a scholar who mastered all Dharmashastras and Arthashastras. So if he is consulted, he would suggest a way out of it. Then the king called Vishnu Sharma and asked him if he could help him in this matter. Then Vishnu Sharma said that, and the king offered him 100 villages as a remuneration. Then Vishnu Sharma said, I would not sell my Vidya. Vidya vikriyanna karomi. I would not sell my Vidya even for 100 villages that you offer. But I promise you that I would make your sons very much intelligent and thorough in all these Shastras within a period of 6 months. Then this promise is actually it was an impossible thing in the view of the king and the ministers. But the king was impressed by the self-confidence of the teacher, and he agreed to it, and he gave his simply gave his sons to Vishnu Sharma, and Vishnu Sharma took them to his house and started, and he composed 5 stories, 5 long stories, which contained several other small stories with the names Mitra Bheda, Mitra Samprapti, Kakolukiya, Labdha Pranasha, and Aparikshita Karaka. And he narrated only these stories to them, through which all the boys had become very much intelligent, and they could learn all that, they could understand the essence of all Shastras. Vishnu Sharma started his Panchatantra with the shloka Manave Vachaspataye Shukraya Parasharaya Sasutaya Chanakyaya Cha Vidushe Namostu Nayashastra Kartrubhyaha Sakalartha Shastrasaran Jagati Samalokya Vishnu Sharmedam Tantraif Panchabhire Chakara Sumanoharam Shastra. He first bowed down to all. There was another shloka which was said by some scholars as Prakshipta. Prakshipta means which was added by later scholars. But he bowed down to, he paid tributes to Manu, Vachaspati, Brahaspati, Shukra, Parashara, and his son, Parashara's son Vyasa, Chanakya, and who were all Nayashastra Kartrubhyaha, who all wrote Shastras, which are known as Niti Shastras. codes of conduct, secular as well as religious codes of conduct. Sakalartha Shastra Saran Jagate Samalokya Vishnu Sharmedam. Then Vishnu Sharma, who Jagate Samalokya, who studied all these Shastras, Sakalartha Shastra Saram, Panchabhireta Chakara Sumanokaram Shastram, and he composed Panchatantra to be the essence of all the Shastras studied by him. Then there is a conclusive shloka to this one, to the Panchatantra. Ananta Sarankila Shabda Shastram Swalpan. The conclusive shloka is Adhite Yaidam Nityam Niti Shastram Shrunoti cha na parabhavam apnoti shakradapi kadachana. The one whoever studies this Shastra Nityam on a regular basis. It's not simply studying and keeping the book in the shelf. It has to be studied regularly. And when you study the Shastra regularly, when you study the stories regularly, every time you look at it, you get a new angle, new viewpoint to look at it, and you can find a new way to make use of it in your day-to-day life. So, Nityam Niti Shastram, Yaha Adite, one who studies this Niti Shastra on a regular basis, Shrunoticha, or even who listens to it, who hears it, na parabhavam apnoti, would not be parabhavam apnoti, he would not face an insult even from Lord Indra. Lord Indra was the one who was very highly powerful. And even Lord Indra fails to insult such person who studies Niti Shastra. So, from this Niti Shastra, we are going to give a glimpse of each Tantra separately. First, I request Ramakrishna Shastri Garu to throw light on Mitra Bheda, which is the first Tantra of Panchatantra.
Sabhaya Namaha. Pranams to all dignitaries. I would like to brief the main story of Mitra Bheda of Panchatantra. The first verse is like this. Vardhamano Mahanusneha Simhago Vrashayorvane Visunenaati Lubdhena Jambukena Vinasitaha. The friendship between a lion and a bull, which was flourished, was destroyed by a jackal who was wicked and greedy. Once in a village, there was a businessman. He wanted to sell his goods in a distant place. He loaded his goods in a cart, which is led by bulls. With his followers, he started to go there. On the way, he is passing through a forest. While they are going in a forest, the bull, namely Sanjeevaka, fell down in a mud. They tried to pick up Sanjeevaka from the mud, but in vain. Then all the other people suggested, we do not lose our business for the sake of this bull. So please leave it and we continue our journey to destination. Here a verse is mentioned. Na swalpasya krute bhuri nashayet matiman naraha etadevatra pandityam yat swalpat bhuri rakshanam. A wise man cannot lose his huge things with the sake, for the sake of a small thing. So it is wisdom who attain his big things by losing a small. So the businessman kept two persons to protect the bull and continued his journey. After one day, the protectors also left the bull in the mud and went away. By the God's grace, by the force of the river water, the bull gradually came up, and by eating the fresh grass and drinking the river water, it is recovered. Often it used to roar. It is creating a big sound, big noise. After some time, once the king of the forest, Lion Pingalaka, want to drink water in the river, so he started with his all followers to go there. Middle of the way, he heard the sound of the bull. He afraid of it, and immediately he has gone under to a banyan tree and kept quiet. This incident is observed by two jackals, namely Karnataka and Damanaka. They are sons of earlier minister of this line. Then Damanaka says to Karnataka that he wants to this situation in favor of him. Slowly he went to the line and asked why he kept quiet. Then he told that he was afraid of the sound of something living creature. Then Damanaka said, I will go there and observe who is it. Taking the permission of lion, he went there and saw the bull. Immediately he ran to lion and told that is only bull, need not worry. If you permit me, I will make him a servant of you. Then he accepted. He went there and nicely talked with the bull, and he introduced the bull Sanjeevaka as a servant to the lion. From that day, the Sanjeevaka used to live along with the lion. Gradually, they became good friends. After some time, the friendship is increased very high level. It, it has gone to that level. At the time of their conversation, anyone was not allowed, even the minister Damanaka also. Then Damanaka felt very unhappy. Immediately he wanted to break the friendship of lion and the bull. So he met the lion when he was alone and say something to create angry on the bull. So he told him that the bull wanted to kill you. So please take necessary action. But the lion didn't accept it. He has so faith in their friendship. But by the skilled conversation, the fox, that is the jackal Damanaka, created faith to the lion in his words. Just after some time, the lion accepted the words of the jackal. In the same way, the fox went to the bull also. He told something and he created faith in his words also. So the bull also get angry on lion. He warned, that is the fox warned the bull, by tomorrow morning the lion will kill you. So ready to face fight with him, or it is better to leave this place to you. On the next day, the bull wanted to go to the lion and request him to pacify him. But he went there and he observed the change of the lookings of the looks, the change of the looks in the lion. So he decided that the lion will kill him. The lion also observed the bull as described by the Damanaka. Suddenly, the lion jumped on the bull and beat him with his sharpened nails. The bull also tried to kill the lion with his sharpened horns. They fight together, fought together for some time. At the last, the lion killed the Sanjeevaka bull. Seeing the state of the bull, lion felt very unhappy. She is weeping. It is weeping. But Damanaka came and pacified him. This is the main story of the Mitra Bheda. While narrating this story, there are 22 other stories are given there. Among those stories, I would like to narrate a small story, that is Titibha and the sea. That is a kind of bird called Titibha. It fought with the sea. This story is incorporated when the bull tried to fight with the lion. It is said by Damanaka, you should know the power or the strength of the enemy before you go to fight with him. Shatroh vikramam ajnatva vairam arabhate hiyah sa parabhavam apnoti samudrah titibhat yatha. The person who starts to fight with an enemy without knowing the strength or power of enemy, he will be insulted. Just like a sea was insulted by a bird. This is the main cause of this story. Once there lived a couple of birds on the shore of sea. The days are going well. After some time, the female bird got pregnancy. After the due course, the female bird asked her husband, "Oh dear, please see a secured place where I can lay my eggs." But the husband bird told, "Don't worry, it is secured place. It is coming from our ancestors. So we need not worry for it." But the lady, the female bird, warned him, "The sea is very near to us. The full moon day is coming. On that day, generally the waves of the sea come very high and speed. So it is better to leave this place and we should go to a secured place where I can lay my eggs." But the husband did not accept it. "Don't worry, I know everything. The sea cannot destroy us. He can't do any bad to us." So they lived there. Just after some time, the female bird laid her eggs there. And after that, they went to searching for food. Then the sea thinks, if I take away the eggs of the bird, what they can do? With curiosity, I will do it. eat things like that. So he take away the eggs of the bird. In the evening, the couple came to their place. The female bird observed that the place where she laid her eggs is empty. So she felt very unhappy and get angry also towards her husband. Then she told him, "Oh dear, I warned you to leave this place, but you did not accept it. See, today the sea take away our eggs. What can you do?" Then the bird is told, "Don't worry, I will remove all the water of the sea with my nose." Then female bird laughed at him. "How can you do it? How can you have the power to evaporate all the water of the sea? Daily, the plenty of water is coming to the sea from many rivers. So you cannot fight with the sea. But the male bird told, "Don't say this. If you have the courage, the energy, the patience, you can step forward to the great man also. We can fight with him. Don't be disappointed." Then if when the husband decided to fight with the sea, then wife suggested him, "If you want to fight with sea, please you ask your friends and all birds to come with you." It is, we have to note this point. The wife suggested to the husband in this hard task. Karaneshu Mantri. So he followed the suggestion of his wife and he asked all the birds and friends to accompany him, to help to him. So all the birds came, they discussed. They came to a conclusion and they proposed, it is better to submit this issue to our master, that is Vainateya Garutmanta. So the bird accepted and they went to Vainateya and they submitted their issue. They convinced him which insult was done by sea, it should be revenged. Then Vainateya also accepted them. He sent a ambassador to Vishnu, stating the insult done by the sea to the community of birds. It is not individual. Then Vishnu also accepted their request he himself came to Vainateya and asked him to follow him to recover the eggs of the bird from the sea. And with Vainateya, Vishnu went to the sea. He asked him to return the eggs of the bird. Otherwise, he uh, he used the weapon of the fire. Otherwise, he want to use the weapon of fire. Then the sea was afraid of Vishnu and returned the eggs. This is the story. Here, there are so many morals to be noted. Number one, the human being never leave his efforts until he gets his goal. And we should not be disappointed when we fail to get a success. Anirveda Sriyo Moolam. The passion and the energy is cause of victory. In Ramayana Sundarakanda, Hanumanji also thought like this. Anurveda Sriyo Moolam, Anirveda Parantapaha, Anirvedo hi Satatam, Sarvardheshu Pravartakaha. We never leave the energy or passion while you are trying to get a big goal. And another moral is there. A massive effort is powerful than an individual effort. Here, if a single bird fights with the sea, it cannot be succeeded, may not be succeeded. As a massive effort, the community of birds tried and they succeeded. So it is also moral in these days also. An individual effort may not be success. The massive effort is more powerful than an individual. And there is
Sir,
the
complete.
God may be helpful, the God may be helpful, or definitely God helpful. When the man does not leave his efforts. In Gajendra Moksha also, he tried to pick up his leg from the crocodile. After his efforts, the God helped him. In this story also, they tried, after its effort only, God helped. So these four morals we have to learn from this short story. The time is over. వసంత్ గారు.
Sir, you have utilized all your time, sir.
So, oh, thank you, thank you. Now I am very thankful to all. I am thankful to Raju Garu and Popu Garu and other dignitaries. With these words, I conclude my talk. Thank you.
Now I request Varalakshmi Garu to walk us through the story of Mitra Labha, the second tantra of Panchatantra.
Namasabhaye. This story, Mitra Labha, winning of friends, is about working together, though people are from different sections of society with different competences. The story begins with an opening verse. Asadhana api prajna buddhimanto bahushrutāha sadhayantyasu karyani kakākhumruga kurmavat. It mentions about two things. One, what are the essentials in the life, and second one, introducing the characters. So, intelligence, prajna. Next, wisdom, buddhimatta. Learning, bahushrutihi. These three are very important in life. Next, kaka, akhu, mruga, kurma. The crow, the mouse, the deer, and the tortoise are the main characters of this story. There is a huge banyan tree in the vicinity of the city, Mahilaropyam. How was the tree? Chaya sukta mrugasya kuntanivahir vishwagviluptachadaha kitairavrutakotarah kapikulai skandhe krutaprashrayaha vishrabdham madhupairnipita kusuma shlaghya eva drumaha sarvangair bahu sattva sanga sukhado bhubhara bhuto paraha. That tree is praiseworthy, which brings joy to many a creature's heart. Dear, beneath its shadow doors, thousands of birds had their nests, insects thronged its cavities, monkeys frolicked from branch to branch, bees relished its honey, but other trees devoid of such merits are mere burden to the earth. This beautiful verse composed in Shardula Vikriditam meter gives the message of environmental science. So many birds are living on this tree according to the description of this verse. Among those birds, one among those birds is Laghupatanaka, a crow, very intelligent one. One day, Laghupatanaka, the crow, saw a hunter coming towards the tree. The crow sensed some danger and warned all the birds living on that tree. The hunter approached the tree, strewed grains on the ground, spread the net, and stood hidden. The birds residing on the tree followed the advice. They didn't got down and approach the grains. But at the same time, a pigeon king called Chitragriva, along with his followers, was flying over the sky. Due to the greed of the grains, the pigeons got down, alighted on the grains in spite of the warning of their king, Chitragriva, and they were entrapped in the net. And they started lamenting. But Chitragriva consoled the birds and said, with unity, we can come over this danger. So let us fly together, taking this along with this net. All the birds implemented the advice of their king. They flew up along with the net. The hunter also followed them, but had to come back because the birds were out of sight. Out of curiosity, the Laghupatanaka, the crow who was watching this, followed these pigeons. The pigeons, along with the net, reached another forest and reached a burrow. There, in that burrow, a mouse called Hiranyaka was residing, who was a good friend of Chitragriva. After approaching the burrow, when these birds approached the burrow, the Hiranyaka, with fear, hid in his hole. Chitragriva, with great affection, called out his friend. Recognizing the voice of Chitragriva, Hiranyaka came out of his burrow, welcomed his friend, and felt happy seeing the condition of his friend and his followers. Then Chitragriva said, "This is the result of our past deeds." Hiranyaka too agreed to this and wanted to cut the bondages of Chitragriva. But Chitragriva said, "No, my friend. You should cut the bondages of my followers first." But Hiranyaka disagreed, said, "King should be given primary importance. After that only followers." But Chitragriva disagreed and said, followers should be given more importance. They should be protected first because they are our dependents. So please cut the bondages of my followers first. Then only cut my bondages. After some discussions, Hiranyaka felt very happy by the behavior attitude of Chitragriva, his merits, and agreed to cut the bondages of its followers. When they are freed from these bondages, Chitragriva along with his followers went back to his place. Hiranyaka also entered his residence. Then Laghupatanaka was a witness of this entire episode. So he wanted to make friendship with Hiranyaka, who is a loyal friend. He approached the burrow and called out Hiranyaka. Hiranyaka replied, "Who are you and what do you want?" Laghupatanaka said, "I am a crow called Laghupatanaka. and I want to make friendship with you. But Hiranyaka was surprised and said, "You are the prey and I'm your predator. So how can there be friendship between us?" But the crow said, "I am very much pleased with your merits. I have seen the entire incident of releasing the pigeons, and I want to make friendship with a person like you who is possessing all the qualities of a good friend." But Hiranyaka denied. How can there be friendship between inborn enemies? But the crow, with strong determination, said, "I am ready to give up my life at your entrance, but I will certainly make friendship with you." Then the mouse Hiranyaka was very much pleased by the strong determination and sincerity of the crow. Though they belonged to different races, became friends because of the trust. The crow and the mouse started living together, exchanging eatables and greetings, etc. But one day, the crow approached the mouse very sadly and said, "It is becoming difficult to procure food in this place. So, oh my dear friend, I want to desert this place." But the Hiranyaka said, he felt very sad and inquired, "Where do you go? Is there any destination? Is there any secure place?" Laghupatanaka replied, "Yes, my friend. There is a lake where my friend Mantharaka, tortoise, stays. He will definitely give shelter to me." Hiranyaka also said, "Then how can I live here without any friends or relatives? So I too want to accompany you. Please take me along with you." Laghupatanaka gladly accepted his proposal, and along with the Hiranyaka, Laghupatanaka flew to the lake. Manthara, the tortoise, seeing his old friend, felt happy, greeted him, and extended hospitality to Laghupatanaka and also to his friend Hiranyaka, the mouse. The Mantharaka, with curiosity, asked the Hiranyaka that what is the reason for him to resort to the forest. Then Hiranyaka narrated his story. There is a city called Champaka in which a hermit was living who lives on alms. The hermit, after eating alms, used to keep the remnant rice or remnant food in a bowl and hang it on a peg. But Hiranyaka, the rat, along with his followers, come to that hermit's house, jump up high and steal the alms. And he would share that alms to his followers also. The hermit tried to scare away this rat, but failed. He got a bamboo stick and would tap on the floor. But even that could not scare the Hiranyaka. So one day, hermit's friend visited him, and they were engaged in a conversation. But the hermit could not give attention towards his friend's conversation. The friend got angry. Then the hermit explained his plight and showed the rat, which is jumping up high. The hermit's friend observed it and said, this begging bowl is in a high place, but still this rat is able to reach that height. There may be some reason. I think it's a abode. The rat's abode may be on a treasure chest. And by the heat of that treasure chest, this rat is getting energy and able to jump up high. So we must take away that treasure chest by which it may lose its energy. So they implemented that plan. The hermit kept that treasure chest in his pillow and would sleep on it. By this, the Hiranyaka lost its energy and failed to reach the begging bowl. So it's seeing their leader's inability, the followers deserted Hiranyaka. But Hiranyaka determined to try again, but failed. So Hiranyaka wanted to take back his treasure chest from the pillow of the hermit. But hermit hit the Hiranyaka hard. With wounds, Hiranyaka had to resort to a forest.
Varalakshmi, conclude చేయండి.
Thus narrated the story. And these two stories, Chitragriva's story, Hiranyaka's story, teach us so many values, moral values. Three characters are introduced: the crow Laghupatanaka, and the king of pigeons Chitragriva, the mouse Hiranyaka. In later stories, some other characters also join this Chitranga, the deer Chitranga, that could not be finished due to the time. But these different animal characters represent people of different sections of society. So the crow Laghupatanaka represents an easygoing person who makes friends easily, who is content with what life has to offer. The mouse Hiranyaka represents a person who is hardworking, diligent, and self-respected, and who always lends helping hand to others. Next, the tortoise represents the wise, kind, and compassionate people. The king of pigeons represents a good team leader, a wise and intelligent team leader. Some very captivating verses, one or two, about the friendship and about the intelligence, importance of the intelligence. व्यसनेष्वेव सर्वेषु यस्य बुद्धिर्न हीयते सतेषां पारमभ्येति तत्र भावात् संशयम्. He whose mind does not waver in difficult situations will be able to overcome adversity with the help of his intelligence. So this story is about the intelligence. Next, friendship. सुहृदो भवने यस्य समागच्छन्ति नित्यशः चित्ते च तस्य सौख्यस्य न किञ्चित् प्रतिमं सुखम्. If daily to his home the friends who love him come and coming bring delight to eyes that kindle bright. Suhruda sneha sampanna locananandadainaha gruhe gruhavatam nityam nagachanti mahatmanam. So this is the beautiful story of friends who represent us. So I'm very thankful to the authorities of Silicanandra University and to the chair Vasantalakshmi Madam, to my colleagues and to the listeners. Dhanyavadaha.
Thank you very Lakshmi. Thank you for the beautiful story. Now it is my turn to introduce Kakolukiya to you. Kakolukiya means Kaka and Uluka, crows and owls. These two were natural enemies. And in this story, the owls and crows always fought with each other. And the owls, capable of seeing through darkness, killed crows during nights. Then the king of crows, whose name was Meghavarna, he called all his ministers and asked their advice as to what to be done to fight the enemy and to win the war. Then some of the ministers said it is better to, some said it is good that we leave the place and we go away. And one or two said we'll make friendship with them. And the king was not at all happy with their advices. So he consulted one of his father's ministers, a very old one, whose name was Chirajeevi. Then Chirajeevi advised him, it is not either Sama, Dana, Bheda or Sama, Dana or Danda that could be useful with this with these owls. It should only be Bheda. If we can make a Bheda in the sense splitting. But here, in case of owls, it's not splitting, but he should he should be able to get into the fort of the owls and make a place for him there, and he should be able to call the king of crows there and thereby give him an opportunity to kill the enemies. Then for that, he suggested a plan, and the king of crows, Meghavarna, followed the plan. And according to that, Meghavarna raised a false fight with quarrel with Chirajeevi. He wounded him. He did not wound him severely, but he wounded him slightly, and they poured some blood that was brought by them on the over the wounds that were made. So it looked at the wounds looked very ghastly, and he appeared to be wounded very severely. And this was done very confidentially, that even the other ministers did not know it. Because once the word one mantra means, it should always be between the king and the person who is involved. It should not be known by other people at all. So this following this the rule of confidentiality, he did not allow other ministers also to know it. Then finally they left the wounded minister Chirajeevi in the fort and left the place. Then the owls came to know that the place of the crows was deserted completely, and they came to see what has happened. Then when they came there, the place was completely empty, and there was not even a soul there. when they were about to leave the place, thinking that there was nobody at all, the minister Chiranjeevi made a noise, made a sound, so that others could, they all could see him. Then they saw him and saw his condition, and they were convinced with whatever he said. He said that he advised Meghavarna to make friendship with him, and Meghavarna got angry with him and wounded him, and he threw him there and left the place. Then the king of owls was convinced with the story that was presented by Chiranjeevi. Then he asked his other ministers. He asked his ministers what has to be done with the wounded crow. Then one minister, the first minister said, his chief minister said, we must kill him. We cannot completely believe in what he is saying. It is better that we kill him and then occupy this place. But other ministers, they were carried away by the story spun by this owl, spun by the crow. And they said that they cited several examples of those people who were very much compassionate even to their enemies, and who were very much hospitable to the guests and so on. And finally, they convinced the king into giving shelter to Chiranjeevi. Then the king of owls, told him to take a place, to make a place for him where he would be comfortable in their fort. Then Chiranjeevi said that he would not live inside the fort, but he would be outside the fort. And then he started living there. He made a nest for him there. In fact, it was not a nest that he was building. He was gathering, he was collecting sticks in under the pretext of making a nest. Then after some time, he could finally get the confidence of, he could have the confidence of all the king and the ministers and rest of the people, everybody. And when they were thoroughly they trusted him, they could, when he could gain the trust of all these people thoroughly, and when there was no night god also, thinking the night god in the sense day god actually for owls, because they sleep in, they hunt in the night and sleep in the during daytime. So while they were sleeping, they used to have gods all over the place. But now that the Chiranjeevi was always present at the entrance, they thought that he would be guarding the fort, and they were sleeping inside, trusting this Chiranjeevi. Then one day he called Meghavarna and his followers. Then he inflamed his own nest, so that the whole fort of the owls was completely burnt to ashes. This is the story of Kakolukia. And from this story, I have picked up a very beautiful story, which I liked even from my childhood. And I want to narrate that story now. When Chiranjeevi was talking to Meghavarna in the beginning, when he was seeking the advice of Chiranjeevi, he asked him, Meghavarna asked him, why the enmity between owls and crows how it had started, while they both had become such bitter enemies. Then Chiranjeevi narrated that once upon a time, an owl was selected by all birds of the forest as their king, because Garuda was actually their king, but he was not to be seen in at all. They could never see him in their lifetime. So they thought, what is the use of the king whom we cannot see and who would never come to our rescue at all? So let us have a king who could be with us and who could always take care of us always. Then they selected an owl to be their king. When the coronation, Bhadrasana, Kirita, everything, Bhadrasana means Simhasana, the throne, crown, everything was ready. And when the coronation had to take place, then at that time a crow arrived there. Then all the birds thought this crow, the community of crows is very intelligent. So let us seek his advice also before coronating the owl. Then he the crow also asked, what is the commotion, what is whatever, why have you all gathered together? Then they also told him that they were about to coronate an owl as their king. Then the crow laughed and said, what is the use of this crow, what is the use of this owl being selected as a king, because we already have a great king. And the even if he doesn't appear in front of us every time, even if he wouldn't come to our rescue every time, even the mention of his name, even if you mention his name, we can get our works done. Here he says a shloka, Gurunam namamaatrepi grihite swami sambhave dushtanam puratah kshemam tatskshana deva jayate. Swami sambhave, if you have a king, a great king, then Gurunam dushtanam, the people who harm us may be very great, but namamaatrepi grihite, if we mention, even if we mention the name of our master with those people, Tatskshana deva kshemam jayate. We can get rid of all our troubles immediately. Then Vyapadeshena mahatam siddhis sanjayate para Shishino Vyapadeshena vasanti shachaka sukham. Then he narrated a story to them with this shloka. Vyapadeshena mahatam, with the mention of the name of great people, siddhis sanjayate pura, we can attain success in every matter. Wherever we have to go, wherever we have, whatever task we have to accomplish, we need the help of others and we have to get things done by others. At that time, you have to mention the great person who is on your side, and with the mention of his name, you can be successful in your task and you can accomplish whatever you want to, whatever task you have in front of you. Then Sheshino Vyapadeshena Vasanti Sheshaka Sukham. He said, Sheshakaha Sukham Vasanti. A community of hares, rabbits lived very happily. Sheshinaha Vyapadeshena, by mentioning the name of Sheshi, the moon, who is believed to be carrying a Shesha, a rabbit inside him, in his mandala. Then they all asked, what is the story? And then he narrated the story of elephants and hares. Once there in a forest, there was a huge herd of elephants. And Chaturdanta, the name of that was the name of the elephant who was the leader of the herd. Then he was taking care of the herd very carefully, and he was looking after them very, very, very well. And there was a drought of several years. There was no rains for several years, and there was every drop of water dried up in the forest where they were living. Then some of the elephants in the herd went and reported to Chaturdanta that all very young and baby elephants were dying due to thirst and hunger, and many are on the verge of dying. So they had to do something. The king had to act immediately. Then Chaturdanta said, okay, let us leave this place and go elsewhere. So you all go in all directions and find a place where we could be comfortable, where we have happy, where we have water and where we could be comfortable. Then this all these people went in several different directions, and finally one of them brought a news that there was in a far farthest forest there was a lake. And this lake, although the remain all the other water bodies were completely dry, even in that forest, this particular lake was not dry because it was having the uh, at its bottom it was supplied with water with Patala Ganga. Patala Ganga means the river Ganges is called Tripathaga. She flows in three places: in the heaven, where she is called Mandakini; on the ground, on the earth, where she is called Bhagirathi; and in Patala, where she is called Bhogavati. Then the king was very happy. Then he immediately moved his herd, and all of them walked and walked for 7 days. And finally, on the 8th day, they reached the lake. They were all very happy to see the lake. It was very full of water, and there were lotuses, several flowers, everything. Then they all got in, they plunged into the lake, and they played in it. And by the evening, they all had come out. And what they did not observe while either while going inside or coming out of it or while walking on the banks of the lake was that there were thousands of burrows all around this one. The soil was very soft out there, and there were thousands of burrows around the lake, and there were lakhs of hares living inside the burrows. Then all the as the elephants walked all around the place, many of the hares were trampled by those elephants. Some died, some lost their limbs, and some were crushed in a very and although they were alive, they were in a very bad shape. So by the evening, the uh, herd of elephants left the place. There was complete devastation all around the place. Then in the evening, they all sat together and reviewed what the situation was. And unfortunately, they did not have a king there. Their king lives in Chandramandala. So even here, like Meghavarna, the crow, even these people invited the advisors of all residents there. And this is how good decisions can be taken, because a good leader should be a good listener. Unless he listens to his teammates, unless he takes the advices or takes the opinions of all these people, he cannot arrive at a correct, proper decision. So that's why the elders of the Barus invited opinions from those people, from all the residents. Then some said, as usual, there would be a group of people who want to run away from the problems. So they said it is not a safe place for us. Let us leave the place and go away. Then they said, Tyajedekam kulasyarthe, gramasyarthe kulam tyajet, gramam janapadasyarthe, atmarthe prithivim tyajet. Tyajedekam kulasyarthe, if the family is in trouble. Kula Shadda does not mean caste in Sanskrit. Kula Shadda means family. Okay. If the family is in trouble, we should be able to leave or desert one person. We should sacrifice a person for the safety of family. Then, gramasyarthe kulam tyajet. If the whole village is in trouble, then we should be able to abandon, or we should be able to desert a family, one family. That means a family has to sacrifice itself for the safety of the whole uh, village. And if Janapadasya Arte, if the country is in trouble, then Gramam Tyajet. One should one should be one should sacrifice a village. And if the king himself is in trouble, then Prithivim Tyajet. He has to leave even the Prithvi, his kingdom. He has to leave his kingdom and protect himself. Then, if he lives, if he is alive, he can secure the kingdom once again. Then, all others, when a group of people came out with this opinion, all others did not agree with this. They said, no, this is not the way. Let us try to frighten the elephants. If you are lucky, they can they can be terrified and leave the place. When this opinions was put forth, then another group of people had come out with a better idea. Yeah, we have there is our king. There is a better way to frighten them. We can really frighten them because our king lives in Chandramandala. So we can mention his name. We can mention the name of the moon and frighten people. Then another group of people gave even a better idea. So this has to be accomplished. This is a difficult task actually. To frighten a huge elephant is not an easy thing. So let us send an emissary. Let us send a messenger to those people. Right. Who should be the emissary? Who should be the messenger? Nirvid. There is a beautiful shloka, but since we are running short of time, I'm avoiding shlokas. Sakaro nispruho vagmi nana shastra vichakshanaha parachittavaganta cha ragyo dutas sayishyate. A person who is sakaraha, who is having a good appearance and who is capable of concealing his feelings, who wouldn't allow others to read his mind through his body language. Then nispruhaha, he should not have any greed, because if he is greedy, the other king could easily bribe him and turn him onto his side. Okay, Vagmi, he should be eloquent. Nana Shastra Vichakshanaha, and this eloquent person should have knowledge of Nana Shastra, several Shastras. Parachittavagantacha, he should know how to conceal his, how to cover his emotions. And Parachittavagantacha, he should be able to read others' mind through their body language. So such person should be a Duta. So there is a person who fits into all these requirements. The here with the name Lambakarna, a young one with the name Lambakarna, he is very intelligent and he can spin stories immediately according to the Vachana Rachana Chaturaha. He is capable of making stories in accordance with the situation. So he should be sent to the elephants as the messenger. Then Lambakarna immediately agreed and he went to the place. He went to the place. Actually, it was on the way of the elephants where they return to their place, or either come to the place or return to their come to the lake or return to their place. Then he went there and he sat on a huge boulder where the elephant cannot reach, because he has to look after, take care of his safety also. So he sat on a huge boulder, and while the elephants were walking, passing, he could make out the leader. Although all elephants look alike, it is easy to make out the leader because the leader always walks in the at the head of the this one, head of the herd. He keeps tapping the ground with his trunk, so that even if there is a trap, he would fall into it and save the herd. So with all these characteristics, he could easily make out the leader of elephants, and he called him loudly, Re Re Dushtagaja. This is a small hare, and he called him Re Re Dushtagaja. Then he was and where are you coming from, and how are you? How dare you enter the lake of the moon without any hesitation and thinking as though it is your own place? You return from this place. You go away from this place at once. Then the elephant did not know who was speaking. When he looked around, he saw a small hare sitting on a boulder. Then he asked, who are you? Then he said, I am Vijayadatta. Actually, he was Lambakarna. But he said, I am Vijayadatta and I live in the Chandramandala. The moon is very much angry with your behavior. You did not know what you have done to the followers or the hares that are under the protection of the moon. He wanted he wanted me to convey his message to you. The moon wanted his message to be conveyed to you. Then he asked, what is the message? What is the message of the moon? Then he said, the moon said, you have occupied my hrada, my lake, and on the way to the lake, you have trampled several caves who are living in the burrows around the lake. And don't you know that all these hares are my parigraha? Parigraha means the ones who are under my protection. Knowing thoroughly well that all these are under my protection, you have harmed them severely. And I am very much angry with you. If you want to live long, if you have any desire to live long, then leave this place immediately and go away. He said these words with such force that this one got very scared, and he said, okay, we'll leave the place. The elephant said, we'll leave the place, but I want to pacify the moon before leaving. I want to pay my respect to the moon and then go away. Then he took him, come alone with me, he said. You come alone so that I'll show you the moon, because he has come down to the lake to console all those people who lost their own people. Then he took him to the lake where the reflection of the moon was clearly visible. Since the lake was without any ripples, it was clearly visible. Then the elephant bowed to the moon there and returned as per Panchatantra. In Hitopadesa, which is actually Panchatantra retold, reproduction of Panchatantra, there in that story, he touched the water with his tusk so that the water was disturbed, and the reflection of the moon also was seen thousandfold. Then he said, you have made him even more angry. You have made the moon even more angry by touching his lake while he was in samadhi, while he was in meditation. So it is better, it would be safe for you to leave the place immediately. Then all the elephants left the place at once, and the hares lived happily. Right. Here it is the mention of great people, one thing, and mention of a great person whom this elephant has no possibility of meeting even in future, so that he would not go to the person and ask him, have you really sent a message to me? Right. So by mentioning the name of great people, by saying that so and so person is related to you, or you are under the protection of so and so person who is very great, you can get your tasks done. But this should be used only for a good cause, but not for a bad causes. Since it is for the safety of all heads, that is whatever he did was right. But had it been for some other reason, or for scaring other animals who are not at all harmful to them, it would have been wrong. So with this, I conclude my story. And now I request, now actually we are running out of time.
We are almost out of time, Vasanta
Yeah.
Garu.
Yes.
It was supposed to be a 90-minute thing.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, let us continue and finish it quickly, madam.
Finish it quickly. Vani, now I request you to start your story. You're mute, unmute yourself.
Thank you for allowing me to be the part of Sanskrit department and be in the seminar. But since there is hardly any time to speak about Labdha Pranasha, the fourth strategy, and Aparikshita Karaka, which is the fifth strategy, I just like to conclude the seminar without going into the details of Labdha Pranasha or Aparikshita Karaka. As my three friends have related the stories from Mitra Bheda, Mitra Labha, and Kakolu Kivya, where these characters look like animals and all, but the intention of the poet is to make lasting impressions on the children, mainly the children, and that too mainly the royal community, the ruling community, because the ruling community, they are the people who can guide the subjects in a proper direction and put them in the proper path. And here, these are all the characters look like animals and all. From Labdha Pranasha onwards, actually, more of the human beings, human characters start coming. And in these stories, what we have to think is, he has to, under the guise of the stories, he has made the lasting impressions in the minds of the people. Because when you see the nature of the animals which are being expressed by three stories, the Ramakrishna Shastri Garu told a story about the collective effort, which is very important. More than the individual effort, collective effort is important. This kind of impression is being implanted there. And in the story of Varalakshmi's motivation and the value of friendship, these are being taught. And in the stories of Kakolu Kiyam of Vasanta Lakshmi Garu, the trust, enmity, and act intelligently, those things have been implanted. And these are all the things whom we see in and around of our society. We are the social animals. We are now learning so much of technology, so much of scientific things, and trying to spread the technology and talk about the technology. But in this process, we are hardly meeting people, understanding their nature, their behavior, good and bad, and the whole nature of the human beings, which change is inevitable, of course, but some of the impressions which do not change forever, the values of friendship, and these things do not change. Even దేశ కాల మాన పరిస్థితులు మారినప్పటికీ కూడా మనుషుల యొక్క స్వభావము, వారి యొక్క సుఖ దుఃఖాలు, మానవమానాలు, జయాపజయాలు, ఇలాంటి విషయాలు ఉంటాయి. వీటిలో there is no change at all. అవి మారనే మారవు. And in the society we come across different kind of people with who are fulfilling our needs, our comfort, everything. And when we meet people in the society, how long we should continue the relationship with them, how much we should nurture these associations and these relationships, how long should we keep strong enough, and how really know who is really praising us, who is really acting adverse to us, All these things have been taught through the story. And these impressions, if they are nurtured in the early stages of life, then definitely we will be composed, as Ramakrishna Sastri Garu said, Anirveda Hasriyo Mula. In the same way, same Sundarakanda, it is said, Jivan Bhadrani Pashyanti. If a person lives, then he can see the welfare. And in the Labdha Pranasha story, mostly you know, all know the story of Koti Gundakaya and Chinnapananchi Chadukunamu, monkey and the crocodile's story. There are only three characters, monkey, crocodile, and crocodile's wife. And these three, they represent as Subuddhi, monkey, who is the embodiment of love, affection, respect, honor, these kind of positive things. He's full of positive energy. And crocodile, on the contrary, crocodile's wife represents the Vakrabuddhi, his greed, sly natured, always nagging, these kind of trying to influence the people. This kind of nature is there in the crocodile's wife. And crocodile is sometimes positive, sometimes negative. These kind of people we find in the society. And when we select the team, select the friends, we should know all the nature of all these people and get proper friends, proper friendship, proper teamwork, and we should act promptly without getting panic in the crisis situations. And one should never betray the friends. And especially when the crisis comes, we should not lose our mind, our concentration, our stress. And we continue with this. Since there is hardly any time, I cannot continue. Still, there is a lot to tell about this story, but unfortunately, there is no time. We all go through some crisis times, and we all work as a team leaders. And when we work as team leaders, we should understand the human nature of each and every person who are in our team. And with this, I think I'll conclude my few words, which I could not complete fully, but thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak at least 2-3 words in front of you. And it is always with the presence of mind. Nobody to be trusted all the time, and we should not disbelieve also. Even if we trust also, we always have to have 1% of disbelief in the group. And we have to only trust ourselves, our mind, our intelligence, and all to get along in this society of all the, most of the society. In these stories, most of the wicked people have been shown. Most of the adverse situations have been shown. Most of the critical situations have been expressed here. Cruel nature of the persons have been described, because we have to react with intelligence. Okay, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, madam. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Wonderful. I know this time, we kind of little went over. So we will plan these things better next time. And, sorry to keep you longer. So I do want to give a chance for our attendees to reflect, share their comments, or have any questions for our faculty today. So please, anybody, if you have any questions, please raise or, raise your hand or unmute yourself and comment or question or share your thoughts.
I think on behalf of all the participants, I thank the four eminent personalities who presented their views on one of the most sought after texts in Sanskrit literature. Yavanan dhana sampatti prabhuttam avivekata ekaikimapyanadhaya kimyatra chatushtaya. These are some proverbs like things. There are plenty of them in this Hitopadesa and Panchatantra, and we all quote them wherever without knowing even the source of the book. We just quote Nirastapada Pede Sharandabhidrumayate, or Ishkim Runanta Santushta Pradhano Nitya Shankita Varabhabhyopajivi Chadeta Dukkhavagina. All these things are so many wonderful quotes. It's full of treasure of quotes and proverbs and guidance for the human beings. This is in the form of stories among animals. Such a beautiful text which has been dealt with by Remella Ramakrishna Shastri Garu, Varalakshmi Garu, Vasantalakshmi Garu, and sweet yet brief Vani Bandaram Garu. Wonderful exposition. On behalf of all of you, thank you very much. And we need to, from the Panchatantra, probably we need to understand is, if there are four people who need to speak, they have to decide for 15 minutes or for 20 minutes. That would have been easier than, because of seniority and respect to Ramalla Ramakrishna, we gave him more time, and then it has become less for others. Always it happens. This is a casualty. First speakers get most time, last speakers get less time. Well, these are lessons from Panchatantra and also the way the Panchatantra is presented today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate that. Anybody else have any further comments or questions or any reflections, anything that you want to share? We can probably stay for another 2 or 3 minutes.
Namaste all, this is Saroja. It's a very interesting session. Thank you, madams, for taking up this topic. As somebody aptly wrote in the comments box, many children would have been actually part of this great session. Yeah, I was reminded of many lessons from my textbooks also. So it was so beautiful, so interesting. Thanks for this great session, sir, and all the madams. Thank you.
Thank you, Saroja Garu. We will post this recording on our website probably in a few days. So that way, if anybody is interested, you could direct, interested people to our website. It would be at universityofsiliconandhra.org/webinar. That's where you would find all this, repository of all this wonderful webinars. We have 3 more webinars coming up in a few weeks. If you are interested, please go to our website and go to the webinar, and then you can sign up, or you can mark calendars and then be with us on those days. Thank you again. So thank you very much, our Department of Sanskrit faculty, Vasantalakshmi Garu, Vani Bhandaram Garu, Ramakrishna Shastri Garu, and Varalakshmi Garu. Namaskaram, and for everyone else, have a nice day in India. And for those who joined us from America, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. We will see you again in another webinar. Thank you. Signing off. Good night.
Thank you, Rajguru, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you.